Oh man, Starfleet Academy, episode 5. I have defended this show. I have defended this show. I can't anymore. I just can't anymore. I can't. I wish I could. I wish I could, but I cannot defend Starfleet Academy anymore. All right, this episode focuses on Sam, the holographic life form. Very played by a very endearing actress, by the way. She just has a certain personality, a certain level of charm, a certain level of spunk that I think is definitely very endearing. The character is stupid, but the actress playing her is doing her best. It's doing her best. This episode opens up with this being at Starfleet Academy writing in baby writing in like she's a first grader on top of the cards, the title cards. As the episode progresses, we get like little stickers and little emojis and things like that that accentuate how she's feeling. It reminds me of Miss Marvel. It was stupid in Miss Marvel. It's stupid here. I'm sorry. All right, let's get into the episode. Her creators, which are these photon beings, they do not trust humanity anymore. So they want her to bring them back information that says that yes, humanity can be trusted, and yes, we should be developing positive relationships with humanity again. As this progresses, she as this investigation of hers progresses, she begins an investigation of Captain Benjamin Cisco. That's right, Captain Benjamin Cisco from Star Trek Deep Space Nine. One of my favorite Star Trek shows, probably only behind Next Generation and the original series. Deep Space Nine was a staple of my childhood Star Trek viewing. And Benjamin Cisco was one of the captains of my youth. I didn't place him at the same reverence as I did Picard and Kirk, but Cisco was up there. So now we have an episode where this holographic life form is trying to decipher what happened to Benjamin Cisco. At the end of Deep Space Nine, we last saw him. He ascended to become the prophet of the emissaries. And frankly, I'm going to say something that might not be popular. Because I remember back when this happened, and a lot of people thought it was cool. I thought it was stupid. I thought that the way that they ended Benjamin Cisco's storyline was stupid. I thought it back then, and I think it now. I didn't think that this was a storyline that needed to be revisited. Quite frankly, I was perfectly happy remembering Deep Space Nine as this wonderful show where I didn't really put much thought into the ending. That's what I was happy with. It was this great show, and I just chose to not think about the ending a whole lot. But no. Here comes Starfleet Academy, who says, we're going to build an entire episode around the ending of Deep Space Nine. I didn't need this mystery to be answered. But here we are. It is being answered. And what's funny about it is, as they dive deep into this, she has a book about Cisco. She goes to a museum about Cisco. She does all this research on Cisco, but there's no pictures of him anywhere. There's no pictures. No, there isn't. We all know why. Because CBS didn't want to pay to have his likeness on screen. That's why. Or he, the actor, thought it was so terrible he wasn't going to be a part of it. It's one of those two. It might have been the second one. But no. Instead, they choose, let's turn him into Space Muhammad. Let's turn him into Space Muhammad, where we can't have any pictures, no cartoons, nothing that depicts his likeness. Space Muhammad. That's what Cisco is. Jake does make an appearance, but it's really underwhelming because it wasn't about Jake, it was about his father. And that instead we are our main characters learning Benjamin's story, not through archival footage, not through logs that were kept by Cisco. No. We're learning about it through a book that Jake wrote. It just didn't work for me. Overall, the whole mystery of Cisco didn't work. And at the very end, who do we get? Oh, we get Dax. Of course we do. Dax is now at the Academy. Because of course she is. It felt pandering. It felt pandering. As a Star Trek, as a longtime Star Trek fan, I felt pandered to, and I felt maybe a little smidge bit offended that they would even take that route to try to win me over with something so pandering. No, just didn't work. All right. If you've been around, you know that I have defended this show. Those days are probably gone. The only way I'm gonna be back to defending this show is if episode 6 is a banger. And I mean, episode 6 is gonna have to be a banger because we've had 2 garbage episodes in a row now. Episode 6 is gonna have to be a banger for me to get back on board and saying, okay, Starfleet Academy is not that bad. Because yes, the truth here that I did not want to see for the first 2 to 3 episodes was that this is not a good show. Some of my favorites, though, and yes, I do have favorites. Some of my favorites took a back seat in this episode. I've talked a lot about how I like Caleb's arc. I like where they could go with him, and I like the relationship between him and Tarima. And they did have a little moment in this episode, but it was just a moment, and it was just long enough for us to remember that, yes, these are 2 characters in this series. Genesis, who is one of my favorites, was barely present at all. Helen Hunter's Captain Ake gets a subplot. But what is the subplot about? Well, her subplot is about what every one of her subplots is about. How much better she is than everybody else around her, especially that Chancellor of the War College. Yes. She's going to come in her bare feet with her hippie clothes on, and she's going to lay on the couch and make sure that you know, Chancellor, how much better than you she is. Not because she has more experience, not because of her perspective, but no. She is better because of her chromosomes. Oh, speaking of chromosomes, we've got Jayden. Jayden was in this episode long enough to put him into a dress. Yes. We have now put a Klingon into a skirt. That is where we are in Star Trek today. A warrior culture. A warrior culture that is going extinct in the galaxy. That has always survived by their strength, by their readiness for combat, and their history of tradition. This warrior culture. What do the Starfleet Academy writers do with him? Well, they put him into a skirt, and not just a Klingon female warrior dress that we have all seen before. No. We're talking a feminine, weak-looking Earth skirt for girls. That's what we put him into. No, we can't even put him into the Klingon warrior dress. No, we are going to put him into an Earth skirt. We're going to make this Klingon look as feminine and as weak as possible. That's what we're going to do with this warrior race. Again, it's another case of the writers not understanding Star Trek, and all that they want to do in their writing is reflect how today the values of liberal America, West Coast liberal America, how those values can be interpreted in this show that is set 1,000 years into the future. That is really what they care about. And I know some people are going to be like, oh, Q, don't you know Star Trek's always been woke? My response, Star Trek has always been progressive. And I I've always applauded their progressivism. Wokeness is this need to create a narrative around the message. And the message is usually your West Coast liberal message. So we've got our West Coast liberal message, and we've got to create our narrative around that. And let's push that out to the masses. No, that's not what Star Trek has always been. Star Trek has always been progressive, not woke. Those are two very different things that people mistake for being the exact same thing, but they are not. So, they are dying. The Star Trek writers are dying to appeal to new fans because they don't want their old fans. Apparently, that's the case. They don't want their old fans, so they're desperately trying to get these new fans, but the new fans aren't showing up. It's like what happened with Star Wars. You can't take a franchise that is predominantly male in its fandom. Now, yes, I know there are females who like Star Trek. There are females who like Star Wars. There are females who like Marvel. I am fully aware of that. But the fandom is dominantly male. And then take these franchises and say, well, we really want to, we want more girls to like this than boys, so let's feminize this. Remember, Disney bought Star Wars because they were trying to get more male fans. And then what do? They feminize it. Because they want more girls to watch it. You can't do that with Star Trek. Girls don't like it. I wish they did, but they don't. That's a generalization, I know. There are girls out there who like Star Trek, but girls don't like Star Trek. Look at the fan demos for Star Trek. A recent online poll showed that 30% of Star Trek fans called themselves female. 30%. Girls don't like Star Trek. That means 70% of Star Trek fans are male. I think it's fair to say if 70% of Star Trek fans are male, that probably about 35% of them, maybe a little more, maybe a little less, are white male. All right, let's take a look at Discovery. White males need not apply to the cast of Discovery. Let's take a look at Starfleet Academy. White males need not apply to the cast of Starfleet Academy. Now, I know, Strange New World, they were forced in Strange New Worlds to go 2 over their quota because they had to cast Spock and oh my gosh, Pike. They had to cast Spock and Pike as white males. I get it. That was probably really hard for them. They had to go 2 over their quota. But the rest of the cast, white males need not apply. Trek hasn't accidentally become anti-white male. It's something that has been designed. So I'm no longer at a place where I can say I like Starfleet Academy. That time has passed. Instead, I'll say I like some of the characters. I like some of the storylines that they've set up. I liked a couple of the episodes. I'm hopeful that they can turn things around, but they're not going to. They don't want to. Paramount does not like their Star Trek audience, and they want desperately to get an audience that doesn't want them. So they're going to continue pandering to that audience until Star Trek dies. And today, we are closer to Star Trek being dead than we were yesterday. I'm going to continue talking about Star Trek Starfleet Academy. And I'm going to continue hoping that maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong about everything I've just said. And if I am, I'll be the first to say so. I have been very fair on my channel with everything. I have always been willing to change my mind when new information comes up that causes me to change my mind. So I'm going to continue watching. I'm going to continue hoping. I'm going to keep reviewing. I'm going to let you know what I think. Unfortunately, I don't think much of Starfleet Academy. right now. That's my take on it. Let me know what you thought of Starfleet Academy Episode 5, the Sam and Benjamin Cisco episode. Let me know in the comments below. While you're down there commenting, subscribe to my channel. I'm really trying to get to 2,000 subscribers. I've never really had any goals when it comes to YouTube. I just kind of filmed things and uploaded it. This year, I've kind of made a goal to get to 2,000 subscribers, get to 3,000 watch hours, put a little more effort into my editing, put a little more effort into my thumbnails. These are goals that I have that I'm really trying to do. So if you would subscribe, that would definitely help me. And there's more Star Trek Starfleet Academy content coming up, and I hope it's good. But I doubt it will be. Thanks, guys.